Welcome back, socialites. This is your host, Anso, and you're listening to the Soul Text Club, the space where we heal out loud, one conversation at a time. Today's conversation is for anyone who's ever felt like God is delaying their success, when in reality, He might be protecting your character. We're talking about dying to the flesh, humility, waiting seasons, and what it actually looks like when God's timing doesn't match your ambition. This episode is powered by Seven Studios, the ultimate creative space here in Köln-Delbrück. And let me tell you, it's not just for podcasts. You can host a birthday party, plan a content shoot, book a workshop, or throw a full-blown event. Seven Studios is where ideas meet execution, and socialites get 5% off of their first booking by using the code TSC5. So, whether you're launching something or celebrating something, you'll find the link to this in the show notes. So, this past week, I had a conversation with someone from my old life. Not to sound too dramatic, but a former coworker. We used to work in sales together. And let me just tell you, that environment was all about high performance, numbers, recognition, big ego, who's closing the biggest deals, who's hitting quota, who's flying to the next incentive trip. And I remember this part vividly because I was thriving. In fact, I was Rookie of the Year at 24, killing it, and got flown to Miami for an incentive trip. I felt like that girl. Everything about that time made me feel accomplished. But if I was being real, it was all me, 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 me. I thought it was my charisma, my energy, my drive, my grind. Um, and there was no space for God. And also, then the pandemic hit. The deal slowed initially, and the certainty disappeared. So did my sense of self as well. And let me just say, I had to sit in silence. And that silence changed me. I didn't jump into content creation right away. So actually, I hid behind the scenes, started working as a social media manager for other people, helping them grow, helping them shine, and helping them find their voice because I was telling myself that I wasn't ready to use mine. But deep down, I didn't feel worthy enough to be in the spotlight. And maybe that was God's way of protecting me. I'm sure that if I had blown up back then with the mindset that I had, it would have inflated my ego to the point of no return. I would have made it all about myself. But now that I'm building from a much slower place, from a much more grounded place as well, a place of purpose, everything feels different. When I speak to people that are still in that all me, 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 me energy, I can spot the difference. And I thank God for that. Because had He given me the platform earlier, I would have worshiped the gift instead of the giver. We don't talk enough about the protection that comes with delay. When things don't happen in our timing, we assume it's punishment. But what if it's preparation? What if the delay is saving you from a version of success that would have made you self destruct? It's easy to think you're ready just because you're talented, but talent without character is dangerous. Gifting without humility is loud but hollow, and platforms without purpose are just ego factories. There were years where I was angry at God for not opening doors. Now I look back and I thank Him for keeping them shut. I was not ready, in fact, not because I necessarily lacked the skill, but because I lacked one essential thing, and that was surrender. Truth is, God won't give you what you're praying for if it'll crush under the weight of your own pride. The world teaches us that humility is shrinking, that to be humble is to be quiet, passive, small. But biblical humility, it's knowing exactly who you are and who you're not. It's showing up with confidence, but without arrogance. It's knowing your gifts, but knowing they're not yours to brag about. They were given to you. So when you really die to the flesh, you stop needing applause. You stop chasing titles. You stop building a brand just to feel valid. And trust me, it's still a work in progress, still for me. There are days where I still want the likes, the validation, the comments saying, "You're so inspiring." But the more time I spend with God, the more I realize if no one claps, I still go. If no one reposts, I will still speak because the assignment didn't come from people, but it came from Him. There's this dangerous thing that happens in our culture where we elevate people before they're ready. We see someone talented and we hand them over a mic, we give them a stage, and then we wonder why they burn out, why they fall off, why they get caught in scandals. And truth is, gifting can take you to places your character cannot sustain. I had to sit in obscurity. I had to learn what obedience looked like without an audience. I had to show up for 5 views, for one client, for a launch that flopped. And those seasons, in hindsight, they were holy. Because the same way God prunes a tree before harvest, He also prunes our hearts before promotion. He removes the pride, the comparison, the desperation, so that when the spotlight hits, we don't crumble under it. If you're in that quiet season right now, know this: the hidden season is not punishment, it is preparation. God is building roots before fruit. So stay faithful, stay planted. The visibility will come, but the integrity has to come first. Today's DM comes from Solange, and Solange writes, "Hey, Anne, I've been feeling stuck. I know I have gifts, I know I'm called, but every time I get close to launching something, I freeze. I don't want to do it for clout, but I also don't want to stay hidden. How do I know the difference between humility and self sabotage?" Solange, this is such a good question because there is, in fact, a difference. Humility is recognizing the source of your gift. Self sabotage is denying the gift altogether. You don't have to dim your light. In fact, sometimes God wants your light on maximum brightness, not for your glory, but for His. And guess what? You can still be humble and visible. You can shine without stealing the spotlight. Just make sure you're building the right intention and the right posture. The word will tell you to build fast, to be loud, to chase clout, but God's process is completely different. Sometimes He slows you down to speed you up later. Sometimes He strips things away so that when you rise, it's solid and not shaky. And if you're in a season right now that feels dry, unseen, frustrating, don't rush it. Ask God what He's doing underneath. Ask what He's forming in your character and ask how He's preparing you for what's next. You don't need to go viral. You need to be faithful. Today's Bible verse is in 1 Peter 5, verse 6. So we're going to read together. "Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of God, so that He may exalt you at the proper time." If this episode met you in your hidden season, feel free to share it. Send it to someone who's doubting their worth just because they're not visible yet. Someone who's questioning the delay, someone who feels like they missed it when really God is just making it right now. And if you want your story or your question to be featured, make sure to DM us on Instagram at the Soul Tugs Club, and you might hear it in a future episode. Also, if this episode reminded you of God's perfect timing, leave a review on Spotify or on Apple Podcasts because this helps more women find this place. It's been my pleasure, as always. I'll see you next week here in the living room.